Abel Mathematics Club welcomes you all and they present a lecture series on mathematical analysis for the students who love to learn mathematics. We are 100% sure that if you give your 100% attention in this lecture, then you learn a lot. So let's start our first chapter, introduction of sets and functions. Before we start, I want to list out some list of books which we refer. So number one is Walter Rudin, A Principle of Mathematical Analysis, McGraw-Hill Publications. Then G.F. Simmons, Introductions to Topology and Modern Analysis. S.C. Malik and Savita Arora, Mathematical Analysis. D. Somsundaram and B. Chaudhary, a first course in mathematical analysis. Then Santi Narayan and M. D. Raisingania, Elements of Real Analysis. Now let's start the introduction. In this introductory chapter, we are going to concentrate on necessary definitions and some preliminary of set theory, functions and their properties, countable and uncountable sets. Also, we discuss about real valued functions and bounded subset of R. We require now here some basic terminology of set theory. In this lecture series, we start with basics. Clear? So you each and every students clearly understand the main heart of mathematical analysis. So it is very much useful in higher studies like real analysis, functional analysis, topology and up to etc. Now the basic terminology of set theory. A set is a collection of well-defined objects. The objects also called members or element of a set. There are two methods of representing a set. First one is a roster or tabular form. Here we list out all the elements inside a pair of braces. The examples are A equals to 1, 2, 3, 4, B equals to here 2, 3, 5, 7, 11, 13. So this is a roster method to represent a set. Then the second one is a set builder form. In set builder notations of a form for describe a set by indicating the properties of that the member must satisfy. Here we have an example A equals to for all x such that x belongs to n, that is a natural number, and x is less or equals to 8. So here this gives us the elements are in braces 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Then now here B with a set for all x such that x belongs to z and x square is less or equals to 25. So here you go through x belongs to z. Z is a set of integers. So you start with 0, 1, 2, 3 up to etc. Then minus 1, minus 2, minus 3 up to etc. But out of them you have to square. X square is less or equals to 25. So the conditions satisfied are 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Same thing in negative side, minus 1, minus 2, minus 3, minus 4 and minus 5. So here we study two methods to representing a set. Now here we have some short examples. Write the following set in the roster form. Here first example is A equals to set of all x. X is a positive integer less than 10. Here positive integers are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 up to etc. But we require a positive integer which is less than 10. So the answer is what? A equals to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 and 9. So this is the answer. Now here A equals to set of all x such that x is a positive integer and x square plus x minus 6 equals to 0. So here first of all we have to solve these equations, and what is the roots of equations are we must have to find. So x square plus x minus 6 equals to 0, then the factors are x plus 3, x minus 2 equals to 0. So the answer is x equals to minus 3 and x equals to 2, but we require a positive integer. So the answer of set is 2. Now here we have more definitions regarding a set. So the empty set, a set which does not contain any element is called the empty set. Or the void set may be say, and the null set also said, and denoted by in braces there is no elements, or we can say phi, empty set. Here is the example, set of all x such that x is a natural number with this condition 7 less than x is less than 8. So natural number lies between 7 and 8, that doesn't exist. So the answer is what? Empty set phi. Singleton set. A set having only one element is called a singleton set. That is, we have example, set of all x, x is a natural number and 6 less than x less than 8. So the answer is what? In singleton element 7. In real life, also exists some examples. Suppose we can say in the sky, number of suns, in the sky, number of moons. So we have the examples of sets. Now finite set and infinite set. A set which consists of finite number of elements is called a finite set. Otherwise, the set is called an infinite set. We have example, set of all prime numbers less than 25,000 is a finite set, while the set of all prime numbers and a set of rational numbers are infinite set. Now we can say that the number of stars in the sky, it is also an infinite set. Now here, subset. A set A is said to be a subset of set B if every element of A is an element of B. In symbol we can write A is a subset of B. If all x belongs to A implies x belongs to B. We simply say that in real life, suppose we are studying in a TYBSc or SYBSc class, and our college is a one set, number of students, set of students in a college, call it is set A, set of students in a class BSc, call it is set B. So we can say that yes, B is a subset of A because of all the students in BSc lies in the set of students in a whole college class. So it is a subset. Now here we examples mathematically. If A equals to 1, 2, 3, 4, B equals to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, be two sets. Here every element of set A is an element of B. So A is a subset of B. We have some special sets. We denote the set of natural numbers by N, set of integers by Z, set of rational numbers by Q, set of irrational numbers by I, set of real numbers by R, set of complex numbers by C. So it is, we observe that a set of natural numbers is a subset of set of integers, set of integers is a subset of set of rationals, set of rationals is a subset of set of real, set of real is a subset of set of complex numbers. So this is the subset relations. Now we have two main important type, proper and improper subset of a set. A non-empty set A is said to be a proper subset of B if every element of A is an element of B, but B has at least one element which is not in set A. So let S equals to 1, 2, 3, 4 be a given set. Then A equals to phi and B equals to S itself are improper subset of given set. While C equals to 1, 2, 3, D equals to singleton set 1 or singleton set 2 or singleton set 3 or singleton set 4 or two elements 1, 2, 2, 3 and up to etc. are proper subset of a given set. So I think you all are easy to understand what is the meaning of proper and improper subset of a given set. Now let's start equal sets. Given two sets A and B, if every element of A is an element of B and if every element of B is also an element of A, then two sets A and B are said to be equal set. Equal sets but obvious having the same elements as well as same number of elements. Here we have example A equals to 1, 2, 3, 4, B equals to 3, 4, 1, 2, be two given sets. Here, but obvious you can see that 1 lies in B, 2 lies in B, 3 lies in B, 4 lies in B. So every element of A lies in B and every element of B lies in A. That means here A and B are equal set. Now we start with power set of a set. This is very much important in set theory. The collection of all subset of a given set A is called a power set of A. Means suppose you have a set called A equals to 1, 2 only for two elements. Then you have to find all subsets of A. So but obvious empty set phi and set itself are subset of given set. You have also to find how many singleton sets are there, how many two element sets are there up to etc. So now here, if the number of elements in A equals to n, that is number of elements in A represented as n in bracket A equals to n, then the number of elements in power set of A must be equals to 2 raised to n. In some of the situations, the questions may arise. Suppose set A having 5 elements, then how many elements in power set of A? So it is a 2 raised to 5. Questions may arise as suppose A has a 10 elements, set A has a 10 elements, then how many proper subsets of A? So total number of subsets are 2 raised to 10, but the question is how many proper? So you have to eliminate empty set phi and the set itself. So that is the number of proper subsets of a set having 10 elements is 2 raised to 10 minus 2. Is it clear? Now let's start with a universal set. This is a basic set in a particular context of whole elements and a subset are relevant to the particular context. Example, for the set of vowels in English alphabet, the universal set can be the set of all alphabets in English. Suppose we can represent set of even natural numbers be a one set. Then what is its universal set? Set of all natural numbers. Set of prime numbers be our set. Then what is universal set? Set of natural numbers. It is easy to understand. So universal set some represent as U. Okay. Now here we have some operations regarding two sets and we further it is generalized in regarding different number of sets. Now union of sets. The union of two sets A and B is a set which consists of all those elements which belongs to either in A or in B or both. In notation we write A union B equals to in set X such that X belongs to A or X belongs to B. We have some properties which we already study in our school set theory. A union B equals to B union A, known as a commutativity law. Then A union B union C equals to, first you have to take A union B, then union C, they are equal, known as a associativity law. A union phi, a set union with empty set, but obvious it is A. A union with A, it is also a A. A union with universal set is again a universal set U. Now let's start with intersection of sets. The intersection of two sets A and B is a set which consists of all those elements which belongs to both A and B. In union we have either A or B, but in intersection we must have element lies in both A and B. In notation we write A intersection of B equals to set of all x such that x belongs to A and x belongs to B. When A intersection B equals to phi, this is question in our mind. Then A and B are known as a distinct sets. Means suppose you have A has a set of even natural numbers, B is a set of odd natural numbers, then but obvious A intersection B equals to phi, that is A and B are disjoint sets. Some properties of the intersections. Now A intersection B equals to B intersection A, that is known as a commutativity law. Now suppose A intersection B intersection C equals to, first you have to take A intersection B, then intersection with C, known as a associativity law. Now A intersection with empty set, that is element lies in both A and empty set, but empty set having no elements, so that is A intersection phi equals to phi. A intersection with A itself, so this is A itself. A intersection with universal set, then it is known as a A. Here we have some operations like some properties which combine of intersection and union, known as a distributive law. So this is A intersection with B union C equals to A intersection B with union A intersection C. A union B intersection C, which equals to A union B intersection with A union C. The representation of set can easy to understand in Venn diagram, which we already learned in our school mathematics. Now we have a difference of sets. The difference of two sets A and B denoted by A minus B and is defined as a set of elements which belongs to A but not belongs to B. In notation we can write A minus B equals to set of all x such that x belongs to A and x does not belongs to B. And similarly B minus A means what? Set of all x such that x belongs to A and x does not belongs to B. Now I have 2-3 questions, you can very easy to solve it. Number 1 question. Whenever A minus B and B minus A both are equal, think in your mind. Whenever A minus B is non-empty, whenever A minus B equals to A and B minus A equals to B, clear? So you can find these questions very easily. Now here, a complement of a set. Let U be the universal set and A be any subset of U. Then the complement of A is a set of all elements of U which not belongs to A. Here we can easily to define complement of a set and difference of two sets, the relations. So it is very easy to say that the A complement which equals to what? You can here out A complement equals to U minus A. In notation we write the A complement equals to set of all x such that x belongs to U but x and x does not belongs to A. Some properties of a complement of a set. We have A union A complement equals to U. A intersection A complements equals to phi. This is known as a law of complements. Now school level the results is very much interesting. A union B whole complement equals to A complement intersection B complement and A intersection B whole complement equals to A complement union B complement, known as well-known rule De Morgan's law. Also we have A complements complement equals to A. Also we have U complement equals to phi and phi complements equals to U. Now, the Cartesian product of two sets. The Cartesian product of two sets A and B is a set of all possible ordered pairs where the first element is in A and the second element is in B. In notation we write A cross B equals to set of all pair AB such that A is in A and B is in B. Suppose you have to find B cross A, then here set of all BA pair where B is in B and A is in A. Some properties of Cartesian product of two sets here. A cross B in general and B cross A are not equal. So our question in our mind is, when they both are equal, whenever B equals to A, that is A equals to B, then A cross B and B cross A are equal. A cross B equals to phi whenever it is possible, if either A equals to phi or B equals to phi. Again, in general, the associativity is not satisfied. A cross B cross C, which never general not equals to A cross B, then cross C. A cross B intersection C equals to A cross B intersection A cross C. So this is the distributive property over set of intersection. Same we have A cross B union C equals to A cross B union A cross C. This is known as a distributive property of set of union. Now here this all the I think revision type. Now we start generalizations results. The operation on two sets were introduced. These are the operations can be generalized as follow. Because now in here we study on given set A and B, then what is A union B, what is A intersection B. But suppose now we are given A1, A2, A3 up to etc. so many sets, then what is the proceed to find a union and intersection. Let's start. For any natural number n, suppose A equals to A1, A2, A3 up to n be a collection of sets, then the union of all sets in A is defined as union of A, or we can say the union of I running from 1 to n AI equals to set of all x such that x belongs to some AI 1 less or equals to I less or equals to n. That is, suppose x belongs to A1, then x belongs to this union of A. Suppose x belongs to A7, then again x belongs to this union of A. Means our element lies in at least one of the set. The intersection of the sets in A is defined as intersection of A, or we can say intersection I running from 1 to n AI, which equals to set of all x such that x belongs to every AI. That is, x belongs to A1, x belongs to A2, x belongs to A3. Here x belongs to each and every AI for 1 less or equals to I less or equals to n. Then we can say that yes, x belongs to this intersection of AI. Now we have some basic results known as a lemma. Let A equals to this A1, A2, A3 up to An be a collection of sets and B be any set, then this intersection of AI, you can say this first, yes, is a subset of any AI, is a subset of this union of AI for every IAI 1 less or equals to I less or equals to n. Same thing, we have a De Morgan law for two sets A intersection B whole complement equals to A complement union B complement. What can you say about generalize? So intersection I running from this, yes, 1 to up to n AI complement, which is same as union of I running from 1 to n AI's complement, and this union of AI whole complement which equals to intersection AI's complement. This is known as a generalized De Morgan's law. Now here we know that the intersection is distributive over union as well as union is distributive over intersection whenever we have given sets A, B and C. But what can you say about generalize? So we have B union this intersection of AI equals to intersection of B union AI. Same thing, B intersection this union of AI equals to union of B intersection AI. You can easy to understand. So this is known as a generalized distributive law. Now here B minus intersection of this AI equals to union of B minus AI. So these are the properties of generalized set collection of sets. Now here we have very interesting examples for the arbitrary collection of sets. Let In equals to open interval 0 to 1 upon n for any natural number n. Then general question in our mind, what is the union of In? What is the intersection of In? So here the union of In equals to open interval 0 1. Okay. Now again you all are, I just recall that the meaning of open interval, close interval, open close, close open, you all are know that. Clear? Okay. Now we have to prove that this union of In equals to 0 1 and this intersection of In equals to 5. Now let's start. The collection of intervals is shown below. So here I1 equals to what? You have to put, yes, in this you have to put n equals to 1. So I1 equals to what? 0 1. I2 equals to what? 0 1 by 2. I3 equals to what? 0 1 by 3 up to In equals to what? 0 1 upon n. We have to prove this first result. Okay. This union of In equals to 0 1. So in set theory we know that if you have to prove that two sets are equal, first to prove that A is a subset of B and to prove B is a subset of A. Okay. So let's start. For any x belongs to this union of In, then but obvious, what is the definition of this union? X belongs to one of them. So x belongs to 0 to 1 upon n for any natural number n. For some natural number n. So this is 0 less than x less than 1 upon n. Means what? X lies in 0 to 1 upon n. That means what? 0 less than x less than 1 upon n. And we have natural numbers are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 up to etc. So n must be greater or equals to 1. So that is 1 upon n is strictly less or equals to 1. Okay. So 0 less than x, here we have 0 less than x less than 1 upon n and 1 upon n is less or equals to 1. So that is 0 less than x less than 1. That is x belongs to open interval 0 1. So this set is a subset of 0 1. Now converse part, suppose x belongs to open interval 0 1. That means now I1 is what? Open interval 0 1. So by definition of union, this x belongs to this union of In. This proves that open interval 0 1 is a subset of this union of In. Hence from this both sides we can say that this union of In which equals to open interval 0 1. Now the very interesting proof is this. Intersection of In equals to 5. Here we use so many our calculus results. Since the empty set, here we have to prove that the A is a subset of B and B is a subset of A. Here first case is very, second part is very easy. Empty set is a subset of any set. That means what? Yes, phi is a subset of this intersection of In. Now conversely we have to prove that this intersection of In is a subset of phi. This means to show that this intersection of In contains no element. That is, if you have to prove that A is a subset of phi, that means to what we have to prove? A has no elements. We will give the contradiction method. So general in mathematics we have very beauty how to prove the results. Take a contradictions, take a mathematical inductions. So now here we take the contradiction. Suppose there exists some C belongs to this intersection of In. That means what? C belongs to intersection of In, that is C lies in each and every In. So by definition of intersection we have C belongs to open interval 0 to 1 upon n for every positive integer n. But what we know that limit n tends to infinity 1 upon n equals to 0. Here we have to go n running from 1 to infinity yn. So we take this, yes, limit n tends to infinity 1 upon n equals to 0. So what is the original definition of this limit? So by definition of limit, for any choice of epsilon, call it c, greater than 0, there exists a number m such that n is greater than m, then this mod of 1 upon n minus 0, which is less than this epsilon. So c equals to epsilon is greater than mod of 1 upon n minus 0, and this equals to 1 upon n. So choose a positive integer n. You have to take this, yes, c belongs to each and every interval 0 1. So you have to take n greater than m, then 0 less than 1 upon n, because of this c lies in this set. So 0 less than 1 upon n less than c. But what we have? C is strictly greater than 1 upon n. What we have? 1 upon n is strictly less than c. So by means of this, c does not belongs to open interval 0 1, contradiction to the fact that c belongs to open interval 0 1 for every positive integer n. This shows that no such element c in intersection of lies in this intersection. So intersection is empty set, hence we have this intersection of in equals to 5. Now I would like to give some more interesting examples for your practice. So this prove that this union of n running from 1 to infinity, close interval 0 to n divided by n plus 1, this equals to what? Close 0 and 1 open. You have to prove it. Next, prove that intersection of n running from 1 to infinity, close interval 1 to 3 plus 1 upon n. So the answer is close interval 1 3. Now we have again more examples for each natural number n. Let's set a n define as 1 n n square. That is, what is a1? 1 1 1 square, that is singleton set 1. What is a2? 1 2 4. What is a3? 1 3 9. You can easy to understand. Then find intersection of I running from 1 to 5 ai. If you find this intersection of I running from 1 to 5 ai, then what is the general? This intersection I belongs to n ai. So you have to find this, also find this. What is the union of I running from 1 to 5 ai? If you can find this, what is the generalization of this union of I running from 1 to I belongs to n ai? For each positive real number, one more example, let n be the interval open -1 and close n. That is, an equals to set of all x belongs to R such that -1 less than x less or equals to n. If we say that R plus be the set of all positive real numbers, then we have a family of set indexed by R plus, that is intersection of ai equals to -1 open close 0, and this union of ai equals to -1 open and infinity open set. So now these are the examples related with basics of sets, and we extends operation on set to an arbitrary collection of sets. Now we also extend the Cartesian product. Generally, what is a Cartesian product means? If A and B be two sets, then A cross B is set of all ordered pairs. So what is R square? Suppose R is a state of real line. Then what is R square? R square is a Cartesian product of R cross R. What is R cube? Now again we generalize.
So R cube is a Cartesian product of R cross R cross R. So what is R raised to n? This is a Cartesian product of R cross R cross up to R n times. So I hope I am sure that you all are enjoy this lecture, first lecture on mathematical analysis. If you have any doubts, then write in your in this comments.
Thank you. Thank you very much.